Hello, I'm Brent Stafford, and this is Aftermath of Murder Survivor Stories, a multi-part video series produced in support of the National Victims of Crime Week. Aftermath of Murder goes behind the headlines as survivors share their stories about the loss, grief, trauma, and the hope for healing in the aftermath of murder. Joining us today is Teresa Healey and Sue Massey. They lost their 27-year-old sister Brenda to murder in 2008. Brenda was attacked and brutally killed by an obsessive co-worker who then committed suicide. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So Teresa, let's start with you. What happened to your sister the day that she was murdered?
On Friday, March the 7th, 2008, our sister Brenda went to work and never returned. Her body was discovered on Saturday, March 8th. She had been brutally murdered. She had been raped and she had been drowned. The killer, Stephen Daniels, was a co-worker of Brenda's that she befriended. We feel that he had used his power, his position, to manipulate situations with her to get her into positions that, you know, were outside of work.
So he thought they had a relationship going?
In his mind, he thought there was a relationship. And as I mentioned before, he would manipulate situations in order to get her in a situation where they could be together. And one of those situations that he would use or abuse would be to take her paycheck and you know, say, let's meet at Kelsey's, I've got your paycheck. And she would come to Kelsey's to pick up her paycheck, and you know, then it was a dinner, and we believe in his mind that was now a romantic dinner that they were sharing.
That night, now that you know more of the details, exactly how did it unfold?
Well, we don't have a lot of details because there wasn't a real full investigation. What we do know is that Brenda came to that house under the pretense of picking up her paycheck. We know that she went into that house at approximately 5, 6 o'clock and never came out of that house again. We don't have a timeline of her death, but we do know that Stephen Daniels did commit suicide at 3 a.m.
Sue, how did you first hear?
First heard, my mom called me the morning of Saturday, March the 8th, to tell me that Brenda was missing. She didn't come home from work. So we had a period of time where we thought Brenda was just missing. We didn't know. And then around noon, we had received the call that she'd actually been found murdered.
So how did you feel?
Devastated. Unbelievable. It wouldn't sink in. It was like, it was a mistake. They had the wrong, I think I needed to see it for myself because I couldn't process that had happened to her.
Shock. It was very surreal. It was almost like an out-of-body experience, like this was not happening to us.
Explain to our viewers a bit about this particular killer, and as he was a co-worker.
His behavior was unacceptable. A lot of times it crossed the line.
Actual workplace behavior that
Yes.
others saw?
Absolutely.
Yes. Other people had definitely took note and made complaints about that were not corrected.
Did the employer-employee situation let Brenda down?
Absolutely.
Yes.
How so?
They could have prevented it. They could have told her.
Told her what?
Back in 1999, he was charged with attempted murder, which he was able to plea bargain down to assault, spent 7 months in jail, took an anger management course. He had attacked a woman in broad daylight and stabbed her.
So the employer knew?
Yes, the employer knew of his past history and was aware of the present behavior that was reported. Our sister Brenda was never warned. She was never then able to take the necessary steps that she could have put in place to protect herself.
You must be enraged over that.
Yeah,
Very much
that
so.
was so.
We feel that if this information was shared, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you right now.
So there's obviously, with this particular case, some issues that not make it a regular murder. For one, the killer killed himself. And so that means no trial. So how do you feel? Do you feel that there wasn't justice done?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, because I think in one sense, we've been saved from going through a trial, parole hearings. I don't know if I would have the strength to do that. I'm sure it would come from somewhere. But honestly, I think he did us a favor.
We don't have justice like other victims were able to have justice by going through the court system and finding out details that, help with closure. We didn't have that. It's certainly what would have been a painful experience that we didn't have to go through. But as a result of that, there's a lot of information that we feel that we didn't receive.
So how has Brenda's death affected your entire family?
Well, it's certainly changed everybody. I think everybody, a piece of us have all died with Brenda on that day.
It's affected everybody. My mother, my father. You don't bury your children bury their parents.
How do you get over it?
You never get over it. You learn to live with it. You survive. You find the tools that you can use to make it through the day, but you never get over it. It affects you, and it will affect us for the rest of our lives.
Can you heal, though?
Yes, I believe you can heal.
Yeah, I agree. Slowly. It's a long process.
It's different for everybody, but there's tools out there, there's support out there.
Now, you two started a group in Ontario. And tell us about that.
We started the Remember Me Homicide Support Group. Started about 5 years ago. It's a group that was created for survivors and it's run by for survivors. We meet once a month, and we kind of wanted it to be a group that was to do something inspiring, to give people the tools to cope. A place where people can come and feel welcomed and safe and know that they're not alone in how they feel. So every month we pick a topic of what we're going to do. So we've had art therapy, Reiki, the Labyrinth came in, other high-profile cases of people that have changed legislation to come in and speak to our group to give them some hope to know that they can make it through this very traumatic experience. And everything our group has done, it's done based on people coming in and volunteering their time. So it's kind of like a pay it forward, I look at it.
We were speaking last night and you mentioned something interesting, that you've recently had a number of people come into the program 20, 30 years after the murder of a loved one. That's a long time, and yet they're coming in for support now.
Yeah, because 30 years ago there was nothing. They just did what they had to do to get through each day, and I think it takes a lot of courage to walk into a place like that, and you need support, and they did it, and they're amazing.
Teresa, tell me a little bit about how providing support to other survivors helps you.
For myself personally, starting the group was important to me because I really wanted to, when this initially happened, I wanted to meet somebody that would tell me that I would be okay. One day I would be okay again. So this group inspires me. I look at this group as being a student. I learn every month something new about myself, about my healing, and am able to share it with other people. And it's a gift, and it's a gift that keeps giving.
We all have our own tragic story, but you always meet somebody else who has it worse. And I think when you can embrace that and have people come in and you can comfort them and give them that hope that things will be okay, it helps you tremendously. It makes you feel good. I think it helps you heal.
If you or someone you know has experienced a loss through homicide and you live in the Toronto and York region, go to the Brendas Foundation website at brendahealey.com to find available resources and information on upcoming Remember Me homicide support groups. If you're interested in volunteering or to make a donation, please email or call the number below. This has been Aftermath of Murder Survivor Stories.